Welcome to the 3 Cs of Social Emotional Learning podcast, episode 5. When is it not snitching? I'm Glenn W. Hunter, board chair of Touchstone Youth Resource Services. Touchstone is a nonprofit organization focuses on social emotional learning in Nashville, Tennessee. We bring local communities social emotional learning programs that equip local youth with emotional tools to resolve and reduce violent and destructive behaviors in their world. The result is building stronger, more functional communities. And we also have our true subject matter expert, Shor Denny, founder and CEO of Community Now in the Inland Empire, Riverside, California. Today's episode, when is it not snitching?
Wow. I had to look up snitching because I wanted to make sure that I was going to come at this in kind of at least come from somewhere. So, using the Cambridge Dictionary, snitching is when you stealthily or behind the back go and tell on someone to an authority without letting them know. So, it's doing it in secret, and it's usually to get the person in trouble.
So, there's this thing where they're getting in trouble, and you think about what's going on with our youth. I mean, trust and belonging are really important to a young person's personality, their social development. And when you think about just in their world, information is often shared in confidence.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So when you have that, how does snitching play into that psychological structure that they have?
Well, we're going to say first off that when is it not snitching would be, I would think, in an emergency. This is going to be controversial. There are going to be people that agree and who don't agree. But I would think that if it was a life-threatening situation, that if someone told, that would not be snitching in today's term of snitching, right? Because snitching right now is just telling on people. I mean, when you say, "Oh, you snitched," it's for anything and everything. It's used as you told on me, not as the dictionary states being stealthful and doing it to get someone in trouble. So when you say, "Oh, you snitched on me," we're going to have to look at levels. Now, if you are in a burning building and you shouldn't have been there, but someone goes and tells someone, "Hey, they're in the burning building," do you get mad and say that's snitching?
And I think the obvious answer is no. You're happy to have that information. Let's go save a life.
Exactly. So there are going to be times when you didn't want something to be said, but it's probably best that it was. As an adult, we could take this into a lot of things, and we will. So as an adult and having a child, I would say that it's not snitching when anything that has to do with the best interest of the person is in danger, right? If you know that your friend is getting ready to go and meet up on a corner with, and say they're going to fight, and your friend's going to go and meet up in a gang, and there's going to be a fight, and you go and tell the authority, I guess the question again right there is that or is that not snitching, right?
Right. And I think that's the confusion that we have with our youth. It's like, is that snitching? Because now you've introduced the authorities to their world, and their world being the children's world. And sometimes they don't see things clearly, especially in some of their earlier years of development.
Right.
So you still have the problem. It's not snitching if there is a greater good. Then who determines the greater good at that moment of impact?
Exactly, and that's the problem with society. That's the problem that our youth are having, right? You have youth in elementary school right now where during the spring, there usually pops up a game, and it's a touch game, right? So the boys are going to touch the girls in certain parts of their bodies during certain days of the week. It's planned. So the kids know that it's going to happen, but they make the kids that are what you would want to call the targets. They would say, you can't snitch. But saying that you can't snitch means that you're allowing them to violate you, right? So we have to draw a line of where it's uncomfortable for yourself morally, where it's uncomfortable for yourself physically. Then it is not snitching. It is, number one, in that situation, it would be self-preservation. It would be making sure you're taking care of yourself and looking out for others, because unfortunately this is a broad thing, this touching game. So
Mm-hmm.
if one child is not going to snitch and another child does, it saves a child that doesn't have the nerve to tell that to the authorities that this is going on. So again, I think it would come down to, like we said, to life or death. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's a burning building, or if you feel morally that you need to let someone know that something is going on, and it doesn't have to be an authority, right? When you're, it can be a friend, it could be a parent, it could be anyone in your social circle or outside of your social circle that you're going to tell it to. Could be your therapist, you know, I mean, to
Mm-hmm.
someone. But when is it not snitching would have to be when it's life or death, or as I said, it's against your moral fiber.
Now, how do we communicate that life and death kind of decision to, for example, elementary school kids? You know, you think about the world they live in, and someone didn't respond to my text, and they'll swear it's life and death that someone did not respond. So you end up with their perspective being a little bit out of whack with the rest of how the world sees them. In your experience, how do kids discern that life or death decision?
This is in a social emotional learning situation. They're going to be taught things that it's going to help them. So for just broadly across our population, what are the kids thinking? That's the problem right now, that it's very mixed bag and no one has a clear definition and everybody's afraid. So what we would have to do is come back to social emotional learning, and we would have to look at building the skill sets in our youth, right? We would show them their value. We would show them, we go through the character words: trustworthy, respectful, fair, caring. These words have action behind them. They're not just words. So when you teach the child that being respectful means that you don't do harm to others or their property, that you respect yourself as well. You don't do harm to you or your property, and that being trustworthy means that people can trust that you will do that, and you show them the value of those words and actions, then they tend to follow those words and actions. So then snitching or telling when something is going wrong does not become snitching. It becomes, a life or death situation, or not even that. It just becomes, that's what it is, right? Johnny is about to jump off the bridge. Maybe somebody should go talk to him. Kind of a, that would be just disclosing information. It would be factual. It would be actually trying to help someone rather than harm them. Okay. So when is it not snitching? When it's to help someone else or yourself.
Okay. So as we look at our youth and their social spectrum, as adults we would refer to it as the alpha male or the alpha female. For kids, again, for our youth, how do they determine who is the authority with regards to some of those moral decisions? How do they pick who their leaders are to help them?
We are all leaders, and in the social emotional learning atmosphere, they're taught that they all lead, right? So there is no determining who you follow. It's how you can lead. Now, in leading, when all of you are leading and doing the same thing, if you're all being respectful, if you're all being trustworthy, and you're all leading in that, then there's no it's
really
fluid.
no friction. There would be no friction in that kind of environment where everybody understands that they have leadership authority.
Exactly.
Wow. So I think what you're sharing with us in this structure, Shor, is that we really individually address our youth's needs in terms of trying to establish a functional morality. Yes. There is no, quote, alpha figure among the peers that dictate it. We're trying to get consistency really from an adult perspective into our youth so that they can replicate it.
We are trying to get our youth to look at their world in their time and age and see it clearly. We're not trying to have them see as we see, right? That takes experience and years. But what we're trying to do is give them the skills that they need to draw upon these conclusions themselves. we go back to a child is fully developed. They are thinking. They critically think. You just got to teach them. They cope. You got to teach them. They have positive, bad behaviors. They're taught. So what you have to do is you have to teach them, and then they will use that. And again, like I said before, reverse peer pressure. You know, when you start putting positivity and trustworthiness and being responsible out there, and it becomes the norm, then it truly does become snitching, because then someone is actually telling something on you to get you in trouble. You know, and that would be a spiteful, self-centered action, not, you know, blowing the alarm or, you know, trying to help.
Okay. So as we're looking at this type of development, I don't think we can safely avoid the evil sibling of the evil sibling of social emotional learning, and that evil sibling would be, you know, in essence, anti-bullying. You know, there's still that physical component of the larger child or the larger youth trying to impose their will. What tools do you share with the kids you work with when someone tries to take this moral point and make it a physical point?
We teach our kids how to save themselves from bullies and how to save others. So while they're on the campus, if they see someone getting bullied, they have the steps to be safe and how to pull that person, get that person away from the bully without any, you know, hostility, and just to move on and just leave the bully there. Let the bully do what the bully's going to do. Because most times we entertain them and then we get in trouble with them. So what we teach our students is, you know, if they want to act crazy, walk away. You know, let them stand there and do what they're going to do, because as long as you're not there, you know, you're not involved. And the campus, you know, duty is not going to get you. They're going to get the person that's standing there screaming. They're not going to get you. So we do those types of things. We have our youth go out and do a campus-wide activity of compliments. So when you go and spread compliments through a campus, you bring positivity to the campus, and you're showing people their value and positivity, versus in a bullying environment, there are still things going around that they're insults, right? And the insults are being spread, and they're harming everyone and bringing everyone down. So what we do is try to reverse and bring positivity into the school site and into the activities that the youth are doing.
Outstanding. Outstanding. You know, it's funny. A generation ago, you may have heard about snitching, and there was the phrase, snitches get stitches. And fortunately, there's a better understanding of how authority is given and how authority is used. And I don't think that's so much the case. You know, I think what Shor has shared are tools and tactics for our youth to be able to be responsible, to identify what is snitching, what isn't, and make good decisions based off of those tools. And I think that's the heart of social emotional learning, tools so that you're able to cope, to be successful.
That's it.
So with that, again, I'm Glenn W. Hunter. That is the subject matter expert, Shor Denny. Thank you for your time and attention. Hope to see you again next week.
Please subscribe to our channel and like us. We hope that you can give us some input and maybe give us some topics that we can talk about.
Have a great day. This podcast is brought to you by Coach G SAT Training. Coach G provides secret tools and tips to high school students to maximize their performance on their SAT and ACT college prep exams. Remember, scores equal scholarships. Call 951-364-3222 to learn how to get started to earn a spot at the college of your choice.